Welcome to the archive. In this explainer, we're opening a deeply personal file on a psychological weapon. It's a mechanism of control that's likely been used against you, quietly and persistently, your entire life. It is totally invisible, yet I bet its weight feels absolutely crushing. Today, we're exposing exactly how it works. Take a look at this quote. Guilt is the most obedient emotion. It's a chillingly accurate statement, isn't it? Think about your own experiences for a second. Guilt is unique because, well, it doesn't require evidence, it doesn't require logic or reason. Actually, it doesn't even require that you did anything wrong. All it requires is someone who knows exactly how to plant it and a conscience, your conscience, willing to believe it. Let's dive into Chapter 1, The Two Faces of Guilt. You see, the most powerful controllers in your life don't use physical force. Instead, they use a highly sophisticated tactic, making you feel responsible for things that were literally never your fault. Notice the profound difference here on the screen. Genuine guilt is actually healthy. It's specific, it's proportionate, and it resolves when you make amends. But this invisible weapon, manufactured guilt, is chronic. It's vague, wildly disproportionate, and it never resolves. Why? Because it was designed solely to serve someone else's needs. Moving on to Chapter 2, Anatomy of a Guilt Trip.
Manufactured guilt isn't just an accident. It's a carefully constructed architecture of control. It usually starts with empathetic controllers deploying your own empathy right back against you. You know the drill, a heavy sigh, or maybe that cold, suffocating silent treatment? This trap closes in 3 distinct steps. First up, the implied transgression. The accusation isn't spoken. It's communicated entirely through tone or silence. Second is the suffering display. This is a literal performance of pain, designed to force you to witness the damage you've allegedly caused. And finally, the solution. The unspoken messages: just comply with my needs and my suffering will stop. Your guilt is temporarily resolved, sure, but only until they need you again.
This brings us to Chapter 3, The Invisible Chains. Now we hit the most insidious realization of all. The narrative shifts from what the manipulator is doing on the outside to the internal prison they've successfully constructed right inside your mind. A person controlled by guilt requires no chains. They carry their own. That right there is why guilt is the absolute perfect control mechanism. Once it's installed, you do the heavy lifting for them. You police yourself. You preemptively sacrifice your own boundaries and needs just to prevent that crushing feeling from returning. Let's explore where this comes from in Chapter 4, Your Childhood Inheritance. So where does this intense vulnerability even come from? Well, we have to trace the origin back to a timeline of childhood programming. During years 1 through 10, a child is often subtly made responsible for their family's emotional stability. It's a massive burden for a kid. Moving into adolescence, this burden evolves into a deep, reflexive, people-pleasing survival strategy. So by the time you reach adulthood, you are left with this baseline vulnerability, a vague, sourceless guilt that toxic, narcissistic individuals can effortlessly sniff out and exploit.
Listen to this. They feel guilty for simply existing in a way that takes up space. This perfectly validates the lifelong, exhausting emotional burden you carry. Because of that childhood inheritance, you feel guilty for succeeding. You feel guilty for wanting normal things, or honestly, just for being happy when others around you are not. You've been programmed to feel like your very presence is an imposition.
Now for the most important part, Chapter 5, Breaking the Control Mechanism. Understanding exactly how this weapon works is the very first step to disarming it. The ultimate antidote to manufactured guilt is radical discernment, and it really boils down to one simple, incredibly powerful question. Did I actually do something wrong? If you evaluate the situation and you cannot clearly identify any tangible harm you caused, then that guilt is someone else's tool, period. It simply does not belong to you.
It is time to step into your new reality. And you need to treat this as a definitive, unshakable verdict. Ready? You are allowed to disappoint people, you are allowed to choose yourself, and you are absolutely allowed to say no without offering a single explanation or a justification for the suffering they choose to perform. You are completely empowered to put down that heavy, manufactured weight you've been carrying.
As we wrap up, keep this in mind. Guilt, used honestly, makes us better people. Guilt, used as a weapon, makes us smaller ones. You now know the difference. You know how the invisible weapon operates, how it was installed in the first place, and exactly how to dismantle it. You can permanently step out of the trap.
Manufactured guilt is no longer your burden to carry.
If you want to continue uncovering buried history, forbidden psychology, and the dark truths they literally never taught you in school, make sure to subscribe to Dark Archive. The archive is open, and we'll be back next week to expose even more.